kiddo who's ping-ponging off the walls is looking for that input. And to be specific, it's not always the case, but it's usually vestibular input, which is the movement of my head, specifically my head, which has to do with balance. That's my vestibular input. My vestibular sense is located in my vestibulocochlear bone. It's in my inner ear, right? It has to do with balance. And if you just shake your head up and down, you're activating your vestibular system. They might be moving to get that input. And a lot of times vestibular kids, when I activate the vestibular system, I generally bring that alert level up. So they might be seeking it for a lot of reasons, whether they don't feel it or they're just trying to get some sense of where their body is in space. There's some reason they're doing that. So vestibular kids look like, maybe they're doing handstands, or they're the kids that are spinning in their chair, or they won't get off the swing. Things like that. Or they get sick in the car. It kind of goes the opposite way. They could still be seekers and avoiders at the same time, or one the other day. But there's something off about their vestibular. Then there's the proprioception. That's internal, like, awareness. So when I pick something up, I feel it in my muscles, and that's letting me know where my body is. Kind of like inside out, right? My proprioception seekers, they're the kids that, they'll when you go to the grocery store, you want those kids because they're going to carry the milk jugs.
Okay.
They like or they're going to hang from the monkey bars because they like that track. So they're feeling the pull and push of the muscles. Maybe they climb a lot because they're feeling it. They're using their body a lot.
Right.
And tactile can look similar. Tactile is outside in. It's light touch and deep pressure. They're the kids that are constantly touching everything, or they're hitting everything. Because when I run into something, that's tactile. I'm feeling on the outside in. And our bashers. My youngest son, I thought he was I thought he was a proprioception kid for a long time. And then one day I was at the beach, and he was just in the sand, and he was totally relaxed. And I was like, I've never seen that before. Oh, of course, tactile guy. You can't diagnose your own kid; it's impossible. But
you're right.
I took it forever to figure that out. So, the way I did things, I do things differently now. But knowing that helps. So, what was your original question?
So like having a sensory band for a child that needs to have the movement and to have their head moving around, that's not going to work because you have a child that's seeking sensory input in a different area.
Yeah. So, looking at those three senses right there. Working if your kid goes to OT, they're the ones that are going to be able to help you with figure out what kind of sensory seeker your kid is. There's a couple of assessments they can do. Not all OTs are trained in sensory integration therapy, but most OTs understand the sensory piece of it, and that's cool. That's fine. And there's a lot of resources you can pull from to get more into the sensory piece. But kind of knowing that really, really helps. You're right.
Definitely.
If a kid needs a sensory break, let's bust out the water beads. Well, my vestibular seeker is not going to really care about that, or maybe they're and it's also important to understand that light touch and vestibular is a kind of an alerting sense. So if I'm doing these things, I'm doing these kinds of activities, or I'm seeking that, and then I let them go in the swing, or I let them play in the sand, and then I say, okay, let's sit down and do some work. Their alert level's way up here. So understanding that, okay, well, let's end with some heavy work, because that's proprioception is always a good go-to. Doing some. I don't know if you've heard the term heavy work.
Oh yeah.
When I move heavy things, and I push and I pull, and even if I'm blowing bubbles or sucking through a straw, that's really hard work, and that helps me kind of get organized. There's a reason why we feel better after we go to the gym. It's not that we got our blood pumping, it's our brain is like, okay, great. All these chemicals are released and it feels good. So just knowing the difference really helps in those specific three to keep it simple, I guess.
Yeah. One thing I want to add to that is sometimes you just really don't know until you try. Like for us, we have a small sensory corner in our house that have different sensory items like fidget toys or weighted blanket. That's you just don't know until you try it. Like weighted blanket for my son doesn't really work as well as other
Hmm.
kids. But I know for some kids that because we also sell weighted blankets, for some kids it works a miracle, but for my
Hmm.
son it doesn't work as well. So it all depends on the kids. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah.
That is a really good point. Yeah, just trying things out and seeing how they go, and
Yeah, that's a great point, Jason. Yeah, don't be afraid to try something. It might blow up in your face. And I hate saying this, but it's kind of true. What works one day might not work the next day, but that doesn't mean just go
ah,
backside, right? Try
mhm,
it, see it works. Okay, you know that's going to work again. Put that in your tool belt. If you see
mhm.
consistently it doesn't work, then maybe chuck it out. But keep that in your tool belt. Keep that as part of your arsenal of tools for your car.
Uh-huh.
That sometimes you need this tool, sometimes you need this tool. But